Let's talk about the American accent. So it's taken me a while to develop a perfect American accent, and there's a few caveats and nuances that come with that I'll make clear before I get into this. The first thing I'll say is that when I say perfect accent, I don't mean that I'm the perfect speaker. I mess up, as you can tell. I have my own strange quirks and cadences. So I certainly don't mean that my way of speaking is the perfect way. That's a little bit of clickbait for this video title. What I mean is the most generic American accent that I can muster, that I can create, that I can render for you. And that includes talking about things like hard R's, or I call them hard R's, as well as different idiosyncrasies about American English and how they apply to pronunciation generally. So this won't be necessarily in any particular order. I'll more or less be going through just whatever comes to mind that I think might be useful for you. And you can expect this to not be a structured, well-organized course, but more or less just a guy on YouTube who thinks he knows something about how to make your American accent better if you don't already think it's as close to perfect as you want it to be. And again, perfect means generic. So there's a little bit of chauvinism there with me calling my accent perfect. I don't think it's the best American accent necessarily, but I think it's perhaps the most generic one. When I said most right there, I almost had kind of a little bit of a Maryland accent that can occasionally sink in, and then it becomes no longer a perfect American accent. So that's interesting. So regional accents, if you're from Ohio or you've spent time in Georgia, if you're from Arizona, New York City, people often have their own particular accents that are regional. So this is true of most countries, I think. Certainly, I imagine. And America is no exception. The United States are no exception. But I'm going to be as generic as I can. And what I'll also do is perhaps speak a little bit more slowly part of the time at least than I might otherwise normally, so that you can kind of pick up on how I enunciate certain words. And decide for yourself if what you're hearing sounds like the kind of American accent you want to emulate or learn from. It might not be. You might also only want to pick and choose bits of how I speak and how I pronounce. I also might be articulating slightly more precisely than I might normally. Part of that is my own personality, but part of that is also, for this video, I want to make clear how I think each sound should properly, again, properly is in scare quotes, be pronounced. That brings up a really interesting point about how sometimes the most authentic thing you can do when you want to, or rather, one of the most useful ways to appear authentic is to not speak perfectly. It's very normal for there to be a kind of slang or casual pronunciation that you might not have in a speech, or you may, but you might speak casually among friends or even coworkers. A good example of this is the word going. I'm going to the store. I'm going to go for a walk. Or I'm going for a walk. I'm going to my friend's house, but people start speaking more casually, less formally. People say, I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to be done in 5 minutes. I'm going to be late. Can you let everyone know? So that's when going becomes gonna or gonna. And no one really notices, but unconsciously people might notice. And depending on the circumstance, it might make you appear more natural, more authentic, and less forced. Or it could make you appear too casual, perhaps clumsy.
Well-informed or well-educated. It's up to you if you want to include little casual slang pronunciations, little shortenings that are more than just a contraction. And it may be different depending on the circumstance. But whatever you do, I advise make it a conscious choice if you're going to switch into a certain mode. If you're going to make sure that you're speaking each word as properly as you can. Again, my own effort to speak perfectly, as far as perfect American accent, not that my grammar or word choice is perfect, but my accent might be perfectly generic, depending on your view. Let's jump into an interesting word that I think most native American English speakers don't realize has this important nuance. That's the word the, or the, T-H-E. What's interesting about the is that it doesn't have one pronunciation, it has two. So if the comes before a word that starts with a consonant sound, like cat, then it's the, like T-H-U-H. The rhymes with brother, together, the. Not really together, forget that one. I don't know why that came to me. Brother is better. That's the. If it comes before a vowel sound, it's the. And people may not realize this or recognize it, but they usually is a funny word too. But they usually follow that rule. I saw it after the emergency. It's a short the. It's not the emergency. The emergency. It's like the. Very short. In which case, T-H-E is perfect spelling for it because it's shorter than T-H-E-E. Just the. The event was great. You slow that down a lot. It's the event was great. Was. Let's talk about W's. I'm sure there's lots of exceptions, as there are to everything, but W's make a W sound. Water. Wow. World of Warcraft, abbreviated to WoW. Wow. Never makes a V sound, at least not in any words that I'm normally using. When we went on the winter walk, we wondered why wearing wool was so warm. Pretty impressed with myself about that. That's W. V can be a tricky one for some people. Very. Vexing. Velocity. Viscosity. Veracity. Vindictiveness. Vengeance. A lot of rough words there. Value. Valiant. Valorous. V. It's not a subtle consonant in my view. Perhaps it takes some subtlety of the mouth to do just right. But it's not a subtle consonant. Something that's an idiosyncrasy of my own is, especially if I'm giving any kind of presentation like this, apart from being a little bit nervous, even if it's just a recording, is that I naturally have a very modulated voice. It goes up and down a lot. Very high, very low. I don't think it's as modulated with most people. Most people, there it is again. Perhaps we'll revisit whether or not I'm the perfect American accent on the word most. I think I am. Maybe I'm not.
We can also certainly have a philosophical debate about what counts generic and who
gets to make that decision. When it comes to the international community, in large part, the force that gets to make that decision the most, in a way, is Hollywood, is movies, because that's what's exported. Media and television and movies, that's exported around the world. So they see it, and there certainly is considered a general everyman kind of accent that's there, and that's what I want to help you learn, if that's what you're interested in learning, or if you're just curious about it. And that's what these videos will be about, and I hope there will be multiple. Let me know if you like them. If you think they're ridiculous, you should definitely make fun of me. Put in the comments, though. Make sure I read it, you know. So, another slang kind of pronunciation, you know. It can be, you know, like Y-A. You know, I was going to ask you the same question. You know, I think he makes a good point. You know, that was actually a pretty good movie. But in general, we don't pronounce you as ya. I wouldn't advise it. O-R sounds. That's interesting and that's tricky. Because if you're learning English, if you've learned English, if you're a native English speaker of American English, you'll notice that O-R sounds are often pronounced by Americans as rather than or. Trevor. It's with an O-R sometimes, not always. Doctor is not doctor, it's doctor. Doctor. So it's on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes it is an or sound. As the conjunction, it certainly has. Would you like chicken or turkey? Would you like chicken or turkey? Or. R's in general. R's are the key to everything. Perhaps not the key, perhaps they're the foundation of everything. The overt, almost obtuse American R. It's something that I find myself feeling strangely proud of. I like the hard R of the American accent, even though I've been steeped in it my whole life. Still like a fish who somehow realizes that he's been wet the whole time. Somehow I notice I'm in it, and I like it. I like that hard R, and that's what we have. And I think it's difficult for folks learning American English accents to not overdo it or underdo it. To underdo it can sound like a British accent or a Boston accent. It started that way. I don't know if that's a great Boston accent, but we avoid the softer R. We'll be together, won't we? I don't know what kind of English accent I'm trying to do there, but it has that soft R. Together. We don't say the when we at the end of together. We say together. Forever. Not forever. Or forever. Or forever anything else. Forever. Forever. Eternity. Eternity. Burn. Burn. Burned. Burned. Born. None of that. Burn. It's burn. Powerful R. Are you there? Are you listening? Are you hearing me? I'm overdoing it there with the hearing. It's not that hard. And it's probably not as hard as a West Country accent in England. Like, it's a Devonport, Westshire, forget the names. So it's not, get to the car.
we don't linger on the R.
Pronounce it the whole way, I think. Card. That was a hard hand he played when playing cards. Forget. The F-O-R in forget is an or sound. You can make it more casual by saying forget. I forget. I wouldn't advise it though, especially when it's slowed down. I think it sounds stupid. I think you should say forget. Forget about it. It's ridiculous. I wouldn't worry about it. Contractions are very important as well. That's not an accent thing so much as how we use the language. I wouldn't go there if I were you. I wouldn't. I think I need to work on my consonants there, because when I pronounce wouldn't very quickly, I kind of discovering I miss the D. I wonder if anyone can chime in. Is that normal for you, or is that an idiosyncrasy where I'm failing at my American accent? I wouldn't do that if I were you. I don't think people articulate it that much, though, normally. But perhaps we should. Should. S-H-O-U-L-D. Forget about the spelling, though. It rhymes with good. G-O-O-D. Remarkable that it's spelled that way. But good is how it's pronounced. Good. It doesn't rhyme with mood. Mood is pronounced differently, even though it's also M-O-O-D. Good mood. Good. The O is like that with my lips. Good mood. Mood. The lips, I think, get a little tighter, almost lower. Good mood. I think the subtle difference between an sound and an ood. It's almost impossible for me to really do them in isolation without having consonants at either side. Good mood. Good food. Should, dude. It rhymes with should, dude. Dude rhymes with mood and food, even though mood and food end in O-O-D. And dude is D-U-D-E, a slang word. Dude, mood, food. Good. So there's almost no rhyme and reason to a lot of the words, but you may as well memorize them. Dude, D-U-D-E, pronounced dude, casual word. Hey dude, come with us, we're going on the roller coasters. We are going on the roller coasters. Better articulation there. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood. Mood. It's very difficult for me to describe what I'm doing with my lips to make the noises, the vowels like that. Good mood. Good mood. Mood. Good. I think they potentially look exactly the same, so it's hard for me to show the difference. Good, mood, mood. I think the lips get slightly tighter for mood and food than they do for good or should. Practice those. Practice good mood and should dude, and finding the distinction. The difference is what distinction means here between mood and good. Good. It's not good. That's not a word. Not one that I know about. Good. good. Good food. Ood. Good food. That's enough playing with that sound. Talked a little bit about hard R's. R's, not quite like a pirate. R. But you pronounce the whole thing as I think about it. A hard R. A hard R puts you in a good mood. You can forget your problems. Good food puts you in a good mood, dude, and you can forget your problems. Good food puts you in a good mood, dude, and you can forget your problems. The alligator went to the store. The alligator went to the store. The and the. The alligator went to the store. The alligator went to the store. There are many wonderful American accents. I hope this one will be perfectly generic for you to learn. I hope it will match up with many of the movies you may have seen coming from America. Where to place emphasis will be another big thing to think about and discuss. Happy. Different Americans might have different regional accents. I would avoid those with happy. Happy. I'm happy to have water. Not, I'm happy to have water. I'm happy to have water. Nope. Water. Not water. Water is a regional thing. It sounds dumb to everyone else. Water is correct. It's water. W-A-T-E-R. Water. Water is how you pronounce water. Not water. To say root instead of root, remember that was like the good food thing. It's a regional thing some places to say root. It's incorrect if you're trying to have a perfectly generic American accent, like I believe I have for the most part, despite my speaking and linguistic flaws. The root of the water source was the river. A river is like a root of water. A river is like a root of water. Where to go after that? Not where to go. W's are wow. V's are very, vexing. W's are wah. Interestingly, you can't really hold the consonant of a W. Some consonants in American English you can hold, others you can't. An S noise. The S makes an S sound. Snake. Salad. Salamander. Sanctuary. Surrogate. Sorrow. Saturday. I'm overly pronouncing it, perhaps. Sensual. But you can hold an S sound. S. Not the E part, not the eh, just the S. S. Like air escaping through your lips or teeth. S. 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 Like biting the sides of your tongue slightly. Seriously, that snake was sneaky. It was a sneaky snake. It was a sneaky snake. I'm sure you probably already know, and perhaps I'll stop giving that preamble, because if I ever repeat any information you already know, don't worry about it, I'm just reinforcing it. A is the, I suppose, preposition that we use before the noun that starts with a consonant sound. A very good day. A good factory. A famous celebrity. A famous celebrity. An, A-N, an, almost an, but not quite. It can be, I think, an, almost the name Anne, not quite. An alligator gave me a present. An alligator gave me a present. Not a present. A present. An alligator gave me a present. When I say it fast enough, I kind of fall into the sound a little bit, but there should still be a little bit of an A sound. An alligator gave me a present. That's a good example of a diphthong, the A, when something kind of falls into a second vowel. One vowel turns into another. A, like a Y sound at the end. Like it should be like name, almost like it should be N-A-Y-M-E. But I suppose it would be redundant or repetitive because the silent E kind of already indicates that it's pronounced name. It was a fine name. It was a fine name. The A is so fast I don't even really realize if I'm saying it correctly. A. It was a fine name. It was a fine name. Some words and prepositions get said so quickly that when they're spoken quickly, there's more leeway or even encouragement socially to pronounce them a little bit in a lazy manner. Whereas if you're saying a more slow sentence or being slow on purpose, you avoid that. I am going to have a great day. I'm going to have a great day. I am going to have a great day. Depending on how slow I said it, the A can take on slightly different characteristics. So I think that's all that I wanted to dive into here for this first lesson. Stay tuned. We'll keep talking about the American accent, and if there's any areas where you want special attention, let me know. Comments, please. Thank you.